Ja, herzlich willkommen zu einer neuen Ausgabe SI Talk. Bei mir habe ich heute einen neuen Interviewgast, Amarillo Gold. Mutchler ist hier, er ist CEO und Präsident. Ich kenne Amarillo schon seit langem, aber die Company hat eine Transformation durchgemacht und früher hat auch der Mike dort nicht gearbeitet. Und deswegen bin ich jetzt echt schon gespannt, was uns der Mike so über Amarillo sagen wird. Mike, thank you to have time. You are already on roadshow in Europe, and it's a pleasure for me to have you on in this interview. When I look at your chart, it looks very interesting. 2005 we have the bottom, then we're going up like a rocket, and then it's coming down like the most gold stocks. But in the last I would say 3 months, 4 months, 6 months, you have a nice uptrend. The most people don't know your company very well. So please, can you give us a rough overview what the company doing?
Yes, okay. Thank you for having me today, Joe. Amarillo Gold has 2 gold projects in Brazil. We have a development project at our Rosa project. We have 1.6 million ounces of gold, grading at 1.42 grams per ton, open-pittable gold. We're open along a 12-kilometer long trend, so we're currently doing exploration drilling there, looking to extend the mine life to improve the economics of the project. We also have an exploration property in the south of Brazil called Lavras do Sul, where we have over a 100-kilometer long trend with 22 exploration targets. We've drilled one of those targets fairly well, and we have 500,000 ounces of resource on one of the targets, but still a lot of work to do on the big exploration project in the south of Brazil.
So the general is to bring Maria Rosa in production, and then with the cash flow you finance the exploration.
That's the plan. We have 2,000 hectares of mining concession at Maria Rosa, where we're going to build an open pit mine. Our capital cost is estimated at $123 million US. With that, we'll build a 7,000 ton per day open pit mine feeding a CIL plant that will produce 144,000 ounces a year over the first 4 years of the mine life, 123,000 ounces per year over an 8-year mine life. With our current drilling, we hope to grow that mine life to something plus 10 years. The economics on that are very compelling. We get a NPV5 of $244 million, after-tax IRR of 51%, and a 2.6-year payback. Then we'll use the proceeds from Maria Rosa to do the exploration at the Lavras do Sul property in the south, where we believe we have a much larger reserve.
Yeah, 123 million to finance is not easy. At the moment, what's the plan? In which direction you will go?
Well, we're moving the project forward. We believe we will gradually get a re-rating in our stock. Today we're about a $35 million market cap company. As we get a re-rating in our stock, as we move the project forward, as we add reserves, as we do our engineering studies, as we get the next phase of our license to install the permit, we believe our share price will go up into the neighborhood of 0.4 to 0.5 of our NPV, which will put us at about a $120 million company. That will make financing the $123 million construction CapEx much easier. We anticipate doing our construction CapEx roughly 2/3 with debt and 1/3 with equity, so approximately $80 million of debt and $40 million of equity.
Okay, you're also thinking to do a royalty, NSR or something in this area?
We have an NSR on the Maria Rosa property currently. I sold a 1.75% NSR to Royal Gold out of Denver, Colorado in June. We were very happy with the due diligence process with Royal Gold. This is the first time they bought a royalty in Brazil, so we were very pleased to be their first in Brazil, and that we were able to pass their due diligence process. So because we have that NSR on the property now, we don't plan on taking more NSRs on the property, and we would prefer not to do a stream financing. I don't mind having the NSR, but I wouldn't want to have an NSR and a stream both on the project.
Okay. You say you make more infill drilling and you will upgrade the resource. at the moment you have around 1.1 million ounces in different, or 1.2 million ounces in different categories. What do you expect from this drilling? Do you think it can go upgrade from the grade, or also from the tonnage, or the both? Or
well, we see two things. We have 1.6 million ounces in resource, that's measured, indicated, and inferred. That's about 1.25 million ounces are in the measured and indicated. So our drilling this year is targeting the inferred resources, doing infill drilling so that we can move those into measured and indicated, so that we can include those in a feasibility study mine plan starting in January. Our current mine plan has 1.1 million ounces, but it was not able to use the 330,000 ounces of inferred ore that are down dip from the main pit because the drill spacing on those was too wide. So as we tighten up the drill spacing, we'll convert those inferred ounces into measured and indicated, and we'll be able to use those in our mine plan starting in January. At the same time, as part of our drilling program this year, we're stepping outside we're stepping out along the trend. We have a 12-kilometer long trend. We're looking for the southern extension of the ore body. So we'll be drilling a couple rows of very deep holes south of our current planned pit, looking to expand the resource with a deeper ore body to the south on the other side of a fault, which cuts the ore body off on the south side.
Mm-hmm. You have also in your presentation a nice a map about how the open pit looks like. So it's when it's have the right exploration, it's mean you're going 200 meters deep, and do you drill further, or is there then a fold where you stop? That's page 9 for your better understanding. So that's this, you see the open pit, it's going down to 200 meters and so on, but it stops. It looks like it stops nearly, but normally resources are not stopping. In this way.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't stop. We have resources on below the pit. What you're looking at there is the current mine plan. That would be the 1.1 million ounces of reserve. Mm-hmm. We have ore continuing down dip. We're completely wide open going down below the pit bottom. So that's where our drilling is focusing right now, is on the area just below the pit bottom to convert inferred ounces into measured and indicated so that they can be included in the mine plan. But that chart that you're looking at, or I'm sorry, that cross-section you're looking at is a good representation of the ore body. If you look at some of the grade intercepts on that slide, we've got 39 meters of 2.7 grams per ton, 39 meters of 2.6 grams per ton, 46 meters of 1.9, 54 meters of 1.9, and 64 meters of 1.6. Our ore body is a shear zone hosted greenstone deposit. So it's in a shear zone between a gray gneiss footwall and a greenstone amphibolite hanging wall. I'm sorry, a gray gneiss hanging wall and a greenstone amphibolite footwall. The ore body averages about 30 meters in thickness. It's a quartz feldspar mica schist, and we see very consistent grades over that 30 meters of thickness. As I mentioned, we're open down dip, and we also have a high grade zone that we can track down dip. In that chart, if you look at the lower left, there's some high-grade intercepts. We have 6.1 meters at 7.8 grams per ton, 6 meters at 6.5 grams per ton, 4 meters at 7.1 grams per ton. So we see two things. We believe the pit will go a bit deeper. It will do another pushback and bring in as much as another 500,000 ounces of reserve by bringing in the measured and indicated that was left in the pit floor, and the other 330,000 ounces of inferred ore that was left below the pit. We also think that in the future we'll be able to go underground and mine on that high-grade zone, following it on down dip, eventually ramping down out of the bottom of the open pit.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Understandable. What do you plan, what the all drilling and so on will cost?
Currently this year we have a 10,000 meter drilling program going on, and the cost of that is 2 million Canadian dollars.
Mm-hmm. I'm now on page 13. There's the development schedule, and how you raise a little bit, you raise money through this sale of this NSR. How far you can go with this money? So when you next financing round?
Well, we've had a very busy year. We raised 5.2 million Canadian dollars in an equity raise in March. We used that money to restart the drilling at Nähere Rosa. Then in June, we sold the NSR to Royal Gold for 10.8 million US dollars. We used that to clean up some historical debt that the company had. We had a gold loan that was taken out in 2014 and was used to fund the company 14, 15, and 16. We paid that gold loan off. We paid off all of our debts. We're currently sitting with about $5 million in our treasury, and our burn rate with 4 drills turning on site is about $500,000 a month. So we're setting pretty well for the next 8 to 10 months. We will eventually want to raise some more money to help us do all the engineering work, all of the land purchases, everything we need to get ready for construction. But our main push then will be the $123 million of construction financing starting in late 2019. Mm-hmm. So if you look at that schedule that you're referring to on page 13, we're right on schedule where we wanted to be. We just put out an update to our pre-feasibility study on September 12th. We used the Whittle enterprise optimization techniques to optimize the project. We added about 10% to the value of the project by optimization. We're currently doing our drilling program, 10,000 meters. We expect to put out a resource update at the end of the year. Our goal there is to extend the mine life by 2 years, which adds another 10% value to the NPV. We'll start our feasibility study in January. We'll start a basic engineering in April. That will give us everything we need to make application for our construction license in June of 2019. We expect to receive that construction license at the end of 2019, and then we would start construction in April of 2020 at the end of the rainy season. Mm-hmm. It'll take us 15 months to build a 7,000 ton per day CIL plant. So we'll be pouring our first gold, commissioning the plant in mid 2021, and we expect to be at full commercial production, 144,000 ounces a year in 2022.
Mm-hmm. Coming to the license permitting process, how easy or how problematic is this permitting process in Brazil?
The process is fairly straightforward in Brazil. There are 3 levels of permit required. We have our first permit. We believe that's the most important one. That's the social and environmental license. So we have our environmental baseline work done. We have our environmental approval on the project. So we have the environmental green light to move ahead. We also have very strong community support for the project. This is a brownfield site. BHP had a small mine here in the early 90s. So the town has had mining jobs in the past. It's currently an agricultural community of about 5,000 people. They're very excited to have the mine reopen and have those mining jobs back in the area. So we have our first permit, which is called the LP, preliminary license. The next step will be to apply for the LI, the license to install, which will allow us to build and operate the plant. Once the plant is fully commissioned and reaches commercial production, we would then notify the regulators. They would inspect the plant and grant our long-term operating license, the LO. But the process in Brazil is fairly straightforward, and we believe we have the most important permit in hand, the social and environmental license.
Now, coming a little bit to the political situation in Brazil. In Europe, we heard a lot of different stories and so on. So what's really the situation in Brazil?
Well, there's a presidential election going on now in Brazil. They had their first election last Sunday. I believe there were 12 candidates in the first election. The top 2 candidates then go on to a runoff election. If someone had received more than 50% of the vote on Sunday, they could have won the election, but neither candidate had more than 50%. So there'll be a runoff election later in the month. The 2 leading candidates are a very strong conservative candidate and a very strong liberal candidate. We believe the conservative candidate is the likely winner right now. However, as you're aware, Brazil had a presidential election 4 years ago. The Labour Party candidate was elected, and she was then impeached about a year later. Her vice president took over. He's done an excellent job. He's mining friendly. He's industry friendly. He's made some changes to the mining code to make it more attractive for foreign investors to come into Brazil. He's not running again. He's not one of the leading candidates, but his party and the party that he partnered up with to create a majority government are still the parties in power. So we believe no matter who becomes president of Brazil, these two parties will still be running things for the most part, and they have shown they're mining friendly and they're industry friendly. So we see that trend continuing. We believe Brazil will be trying to attract more foreign investment in mining so that they can improve their overall country economics.
Mm-hmm. I saw also in your presentation that you have one or two slides included for peak gold and so on. You are believer on peak gold?
Well, we believe, so the chart you're referring to, we show that we're seeing record gold prices in terms of Brazilian reais. So although the gold price has dropped off a bit recently, the real has also devalued a bit against the dollar. So, but by having our local costing in Brazilian reais and by having our products sold in US dollars, we get a bit of a hedging effect. So that when the dollar goes up, therefore the real goes down, normally gold prices would go down. We get an offset there where our cost in Brazilian reais would go down along with the gold price going down. So we have a bit of a hedge between the gold price being in US dollars and the real being valued against the US dollar. Mm. The other chart you're looking at there is we see a 20-year cycle from discovery to production. It normally takes about 20 years from the time a gold ore body is discovered before it can be put into production. We see that gold discoveries peaked back in the mid-90s, and then there's been a lag in discoveries. So there haven't been as many new discoveries recently. We believe that shows that you're going to see a tightening of supply of gold over the next several years, such that we believe that the time we come into production in 2021, the supply will have tightened up. Therefore, we expect that the gold prices will be higher.
Mm-hmm. Okay, interesting. And also the few charts before it shows the valuation of the company that's really low compared to your peer group. So very interesting. So coming a little bit, and this is one of my last questions. The exploration projects, they are very big, 100 kilometers long trend, 22 targets. So it's a lot to do.
Yes, there's a lot of work to do there. So what we do today, we do enough work on those areas to keep our exploration permits active. We don't want to lose any properties there. So we do what's necessary to keep the permits active, but we're not doing an aggressive exploration program there until after we have Mara Rosa built and operating and generating cash flow. So our plan is to build Mara Rosa with minimal dilution for our shareholders, and then we'll use the proceeds from Mara Rosa to do the exploration on the large project at Labrasasur in the south, and also in the area surrounding Mara Rosa. We have another 65,000 hectares of good prospective exploration ground. So once Mara Rosa is up and running, we'll use those proceeds to do the exploration and grow the resources of the company.
Mm-hmm. To make a joint venture of one of these targets is not an idea?
I'm sorry?
To build a joint venture with other companies, they spend their money on your exploration targets, or some of the exploration targets, is not an interesting idea?
It is an interesting idea, yes. We've talked with a couple of the majors who are very interested in the Labrasasur property. It's a very big property, a very big project, and we would certainly welcome a major to come in with us and to form a joint venture to do the exploration work there. We're speaking to a couple of the majors. I wouldn't be surprised if someday we don't form a joint venture to do the exploration on that property.
Mm-hmm. So last question, shareholder structure.
So we're currently sitting with 114 million shares outstanding. Our market cap today is about 35 million Canadian dollars. Our price has been coming up a bit over the last few days. We're debt free. We don't owe any debt today. We use the proceeds from the NSR to clean up the gold loan and the outstanding accounts payable that we had. So we're currently sitting with $5 million in the bank, well funded for the next several months. Eventually we will want to do some additional capital raising, but we'll do that at a much higher share price. Share structure, currently the board and management, we own about 11% of the company. I own about 2%. Our chairman owns about 3%. One of our board members owns 3%, and then our other management group owns about 5%. We're held about 46% by some major institutions. There's just a small listing there, but there are several institutions that hold our shares. High net worth individuals, we have one individual who owns 17% of the company. He's in several big mining companies and owns a large stake of several companies. And then we have about 20% is held by retail.
Mm-hmm. Wow, very impressive. Mike, I think it was a great first introduction to your company. Thank you for doing this. And my German summary ist, ihr wisst, oder das sieht man einfach daran, Sie haben ein großes Projekt, das sehr weit fortgeschritten ist. Das hat 1,6 Billionen Unzen in diversen Kategorien. Erna-Projekt ist jetzt diese 300.000, die in Fürth sind, in eine höhere Kategorie zu bringen. Diese 300.000 liegen vor allem hier herunter, unterhalb diesem Mining Pit, der hier dargestellt ist. Die haben sehr hohe Gehalte drinnen, so 6 Meter mit 7,8 Gramm, 6 Meter mit 6,5 Gramm. Die sind hier unterhalb und die sollen jetzt durch das Infill-Drilling in eine höhere Kategorie gebracht werden. Danach, und das sieht man hier schön in diesem Zeitplan, soll eine Ressourcenupdate kommen, die Feasibility Study kommt auch bis Mitte nächsten Jahres, dann kommt die Basis-Engineering Work und dann kommt quasi die Genehmigungsverfahren. Und noch mit diesem Genehmigungsverfahren wird natürlich auch die Finanzierung aufgestellt. Finanzierung sind momentan sind die CapEx-Kosten bei 123 Millionen. Es werden natürlich diverse Optimierungen gemacht. Der All-in Sustaining Cost sind $655 pro Unze und der Vorteil ist, das Projekt liegt ja in Brasilien, er hat das eigentlich jetzt auch gebracht, deswegen auch dieser Chart hier. Der Real ist ein natürliches Hedging vom US-Dollar quasi, denn wenn der US-Dollar stark ist, geht Gold normalerweise zurück und der Real wird allerdings dann schwächer gegen US-Dollar und das wirkt natürlich dann wie ein natürliches Hedging. So, das ist eher ein Core-Projekt, das wollen Sie in Produktion bringen, damit Sie danach die Exploration machen können für Ihr zweites Projekt, das ist da oberhalb. Das ist ein extrem großes Landpaket, die quasi 22 Tage drauf sind, 500.000 Unzen haben es dort schon in einem Target aus Ressourcen definiert und da gibt es noch viel mehr Arbeit, aber das wird erst dann im Nachgang gemacht, nachdem die Mine in Produktion gebracht worden ist und läuft alles nach Plan. Dann sieht man das hier, dann sollte die Produktion quasi Mitte 2021 starten und Commercial Production wird dann irgendwo 9 Monate später passieren. Also interessante Sache, wir sind knapp vor der Produktion, die Bewertung sehen wir hier auch nochmal. Net Asset Value zur Peer-Gruppe, Amarillo deutlich niedriger aus gegen den anderen, wobei man davon einige natürlich kennen, Continental, Victoria und so weiter, Del Radiant sind deutlich teurer bewertet als Amarillo und das sieht man auch teilweise bei den Enterprise Value zu Unzen, da sind auch deutliche Abschläge. Eine spannende Sache, das Thema ist, man muss jetzt exekutieren und ich bin gespannt, wie die Company vorwärts geht. Er sagt, Lizenzierung ist in der Regel kein Problem und sie haben einen sehr, sehr vorteilhaften Mining Law quasi, die das dementsprechend auch sehr unterstützt und dementsprechend in Produktion sollte die Company auch leicht in Produktion zu bringen sein. Ja, das war's von Amarillo Gold im Oktober 2018. Tschüss und Baba. Thank you, Mike, for the interview.
Thank you, Joe. It's very nice talking with you.